vontade. Uma coisa invisível. Sou leve na água, a minha terra. O mar. Essa vontade. Eu sou mais leve na água do que na terra. Eu vou ficar na água com essa vontade.
São os pés do altar.
Raw, lush, small but complex. One of the world's least visited countries. The closest place on Earth to the middle of the planet, where both latitude and longitude lines dwindle down to 0 degrees. A land gifted with natural resources that became a curse that kept the islands as a Portuguese colony from the 16th century all the way up until 1975. Visiting São Tomé now, colonial remnants continue to age under lush jungle and dramatic peaks. But it's the beauty of gestures steeped in tradition that are impossible not to notice. This is São Tomé. The first surfboard was brought to the islands from Portugal in 2004. Local law has it that when the man with the board arrived, authorities were so confused as to what it was, he was made to register it as a boat. Surfing did become a form of transportation, just not in the ways the authorities had imagined. Surfing facilitated individuality in a culture where long-standing gender and community roles kept most people, particularly women, in a well-predicted lane. It wasn't until 2019 that local women in São Tomé tried surfing for the first time. Surfing may be transport, but it's a slow-moving train. However, the future of surfing in São Tomé is looking different than it ever has before. SOMA, a non-profit organisation founded by Francisca Sequeira, is on a mission to change the way women are perceived in São Tomé through surfing and education. Open to local women aged 6 to 18 years old, SOMA aims to foster female empowerment through surf therapy in Africa.
SOMA is the first surf therapy program being exclusively dedicated to women in Africa. Surfing has a huge potential to help youth in underserved communities, but I think that this is only true when surfing is aligned with other youth empowerment programs.
Currently, SOMA is the only infrastructure in place for young women to learn to surf. And though the limited resources and well-established gender roles present their own set of challenges, SOMA founder Francisca Sequeira maintains a positive vision for the future.
Seeing them deciding to go out to the water and taking their surfboards, it's I don't know, it's very transformative, and you look at them and see, okay, it's not only about surfing, it's more like running for the surfing, you know? And that's when I feel like that we are accomplish our mission.
SOMA began with Francisca knocking on doors and asking if young girls inside wanted to come surf with her. Luck would have it that the first door she knocked on happened to belong to Maura Silva. Maura and her twin sister Maury were no exception to the heavy load of household duties that are expected of most of the women on the island, and only began surfing through their introduction to SOMA. While her connection and commitment to her family hasn't dwindled, surfing has allowed Maura the access to opportunities and experiences that a young São Tomense woman might not otherwise encounter. The progression of surfing in São Tomé is changing before one's eyes, and Maura is at the forefront of that as far as women's impact on the sport as it fully takes shape in the country. Her experiences as she continues to grow as a surfer is a part of a larger shift towards more local women in the water, and more local women venturing forth to greet more of what the world has to offer them. Daily life in São Tomé has no shortage of surprises. Electricity goes out often, sometimes for days, petrol supplies run low or empty, and access to things like fresh groceries, reliable internet or any type of shopping centre is low to none. On the way to the southern end of the island, we experienced a fuel shortage that had us searching for anything anyone had to spare, eventually landing us with a few litres of questionable liquid that luckily got us to Porto Alegre. Arriving in Porto Alegre, it's almost startling how raw and new the introduction of surfing and surf culture still feels. Fiberglass surfboards remain largely unavailable, and hand-carved or improvised surfboards tend to make up most of the lineups in the south. Meet Chum and Natalia. Chum was one of the first surfers in the country, a sentence that feels strange to say, especially upon meeting him to find a relatively young and energetic character.
Primeiro eu vou contar sobre como eu conheci o surf em São Tomé. Eu vivia em Ilha das Golas, normalmente não havia prancha, não havia energia, a gente não sabia sobre nada sobre a prancha. Então, do meu conhecimento e conhecimento de outras pessoas mais antigas, que nós tomávamos banho e surfávamos com tábua de madeira.
No stranger to the challenges the surfer in São Tomé faces, Chum himself had to take a pause from surfing in order to support his family, but remains a respected and important figure in continuing to establish surfing on the island, especially in Porto Alegre, where curious groms learn to surf on whatever they can get their hands on.
It's good.
Bom, o surf hoje em dia está espalhado por todo lado, aqui pelo menos aqui em Porto Alegre. Todos os miúdos agora também sentiram gosto por isso e é um desporto bué da fixe mesmo, bué mesmo. E quando eu conheci o surf com prancha de fibra, tive uma paixão que para não sei que até então ainda duvida muito para isso.
Back up north, just to the south of Santana, sits the peaceful community of WYNN. Although only about 10 minutes driving from Santana, without transport, local surfers are rather isolated from the resources that exist just to the north. Mary Lou Tavares met Francisca on the beach in Santana, where she began surfing with Soma, and shortly thereafter won the country's first female national surfing title in 2020.
As meninas não surfavam também porque a nossa comunidade também diz que as mulheres são para lavar roupas, cozinhar e cuidar da casa. Por isso nós não surfamos. Mas hoje vamos surfar porque não temos que pôr isso na cabeça. As mulheres também é direitos iguais, homens e mulheres. Homens surfam e mulheres também.
You're much better. Surf history and present culture in São Tomé are tightly interwoven, sometimes appearing as one. The future is broad as far as what's to come for the country in terms of resources and cultural acceptance of pursuing something that falls outside of traditional community roles. On all natural terms, the island was arguably built for surfing, at the very least for enjoying surfing in its most impressive form. Rocky, rugged and varied coastal terrains create striking backdrops that serve up a variety of beach breaks, slabs and point breaks. São Tomé is a place that surprises you. Sometimes it challenges you. Mostly though, it charms you. The friendly faces that appear to cheer on every playful serve, the meals we share and the homes we were welcome into. Each of these moments adding to the joy of experiencing firsthand a blossoming surf community and culture. Progression here is tangible, fueled by access and efforts from organisations like SOMA, and the determination and sheer will of young girls like Maura, Mary Lou, and all of the other women who have stepped outside tradition in search of something more, something new. There's an energy and wonder to see surfing again for the first time through the eyes of someone who never imagined they would feel such a thing. And leaving São Tomé, that's what we'll carry with us the most.